Look at that. Now the important people are here, we will record. Take a seat. Can I talk? Do you hear me like this as well? Yes. Yes? Okay, then I give these to you. Perfect. Well, the fourth edition, let me start with you, Mark. I need this one. You are the chief editor of the Blauwe Kamer, the magazine, and also initiator and organizer of this event, this graduation awards. Why is it so important to have this award or these awards?
Does this work?
Oh, let me check. Yeah. Like this, yeah.
Yes.
Now it's on.
Well, not only, of course, the awards, but I think the event itself, why it's important, because we have this, of course, this overview of the best graduation project from 10 design schools in urbanism and landscape architecture, but that's just on paper. So in this issue, and we do it now for the maybe 14, 15 times, this special issue on graduation work. But it's on the paper, and the projects are next to each other, but they don't interact. And since a couple of years, we took the initiative to, as a spin-off, organize this event, because today, this afternoon, some of those graduates, some of those projects will be on the stage, and they can interact. They can share their thoughts about the topics they worked on in their graduation project, the methods they used, the things they discovered, and especially today also about more abstract topics like how to position yourself, how to graduate, etc. And I think that's more important that besides that you're in one magazine with each other, today you can meet each other.
Yeah.
And I think we also started this because these schools, bachelor and master, TU Eindhoven, academies, TU Delft, Wageningen, Saxion, Has, Larenstein, and Breda. So all these schools, they never meet. Some meet, but on one day, I think that's already very important that it happens. And luckily it happens live today, because last year we had to do it in Teams, which was nice as well. But this is the main goal.
Yeah, definitely. And how does this all, how do you get to the 34 projects in the book, and then the selection, and the juries, how does that work?
Well, the 34 projects in the magazine are chosen by the schools themselves. So each school hands in their best graduation project from that year. Landscape architecture or urbanism. TU Delft, for example, has landscape architecture and urbanism. So they do that themselves. And then for the graduation awards, will become at the end of this afternoon, then a jury process starts.
Yeah, and it's in 2 phases, right?
2 phases. We have a group of 32 professionals. The club of 30, it was a club of 50, but it's the club of 30, and 32 officially. Their names will be later on the screen. They analyzed and studied and looked at all the 34 projects. So that is quite special that 34 professionals from the field, landscape architects, urban planners, policy makers, Henk Ovink was part of it, the water envoy. They all took the time to study all your projects, and from this process, nominations came in the master category and in the bachelor category, and then a jury with Gijs van der Bomen as a chair, Hamid Karakus as one of the jury members. He is in the room, and Carla Monen, but Gijs will introduce them later. They made a final choice who from these nominations who gets prizes.
Okay, perfect.
And that's a secret still.
That's a secret still. But we will hear that in 1.5 hours or less. Thank you. And we are here now at TU Delft.
Yeah, and I'm very happy that TU Delft is the host today.
Erik
Me too.
You too. Well, that's good to hear. You're a professor of landscape architecture here at TU Delft, Delft University of Technology, I have to say in English. Well, how do you feel? This room full of graduates live attending here?
I feel thrilled and excited. Also, firstly because we managed to get you together again in in a live audience, but also in the relationship to the actual award ceremony. I mean, I just realized this afternoon, you know, when I graduated a long time ago, there was nothing like this. There was no infrastructure with which, let's say, graduates or teachers or schools could sort of present themselves in a setup like this, for example. And it just proves to me, and it illustrates the rapid emancipation of both professions, I would say, or both disciplines at least. The things like Blauwe Kamer did not exist at that time. You know, all these components of
These platforms.
this, exactly, the infrastructure and the platforms in which and with which we can celebrate the relevance and the rapid development of these disciplines is beautiful. It's just my basic
So you're
feeling.
very proud.
I'm very proud, I'm very happy also, because personally I'm here also on behalf of Crystal, who represents the urban design master track. We, from the section of landscape architecture point of view, this is one of the building blocks of our celebration of 10 years of master track of landscape architecture here in Delft. Just to illustrate, we had a beautiful program with 10 different things, meetings, publications, and all that, and then Corona came in and everything more or less died down. So this is a sort of a postponed thing we had, an idea, a proposal we had. It should have taken place last year in this room. It didn't happen. It was an online meeting, so I'm also from that perspective thrilled that this is actually made possible. So consider this also our present to you from our 10th anniversary point of view. We hope that the meeting will be fruitful.
I'm more than I'm very sure that will happen. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Erik.
Oh, sorry, one more. I want to congratulate Mark for another beautiful issue of Blauwe Kamer.
Definitely.
Also, I'm saying that because we see the progress actually that you're making in the course of these respective issues. It's becoming more and more an integrated, comprehensive issue. It's worthwhile the efforts, and it's a nice occasion to contribute in this sort of quality that we're actually achieving here. So, compliments and applause for Mark.
And now we have Saskia Bottenberg of Young NVTL and Rinke Schoonderbeek of Jong BNSP. And you are representatives of young network organizations, or for young professionals in landscape architecture and urbanism. What are you hoping to hear, this afternoon? Saskia.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited to see these students on stage, because I think it's really important to hear their voice and their opinion about, in my case, landscape architecture, but it can be urban design and architecture as well, of course. So that's also mainly what we are hoping to provide, is like a platform for young landscape architects, and we think it's really important that they talk about their perspective on the field and how that's changing. And so I'm really curious.
Thank you. And Rick, how do you see that? And what do you do as this network platform? Do you do these kinds of events as well?
Yes, of course. I was reading the projects on my way here, and I saw some really exciting projects. It's always cool to see the ideas that the students they have in a perspective of all kinds of trends that are happening right now in the world. So I would like to see a really tough but nice discussion on stage. I think that it will be really nice. We have them also with our activities. We do all kinds of activities. We have lectures. We have events that we go to design offices with a lecture from them, and also to see the inside of the offices. We do kind of activities also together with Young NVTL.
To have these networking and to interact with each other and
share the knowledge, insights, and inspiration. Again.
Yes, and then focused on young people and also students. I think it's under 35 years old, and most of the people think it's only for for professionals,
yeah.
but it's also for you guys, for your students.
Yeah. And I think especially if you're a student and you start working, it's kind of a process to to come in this professional world. And I think it's really nice to have sort of a network you can go to and just share what your questions are, or just share experiences.
Yeah, definitely important. And you will hang around also during the drinks, right?
Yes.
So people can come to you with all kinds of questions and stuff.
Yes.
And share insights and share a drink then as well.
Become a member.
And become a member, of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the message, actually.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. I think we are going to give the stage to the graduates.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, it has already been mentioned. Give the stage to you guys, all the graduates in the room, and let's just go for the first theme, the first topic, the graduation process. And I would like to invite to the stage. Actually, there has been some changes. So Hidde van der Grint is last minute invited actually. So come to the stage of the Rotterdam Academy of Architecture, Sandra Wolfert of Saxion University of Applied Sciences, and Vic Lagrau from Haas University of Applied Sciences. Welcome. Take your seat. Take some water. And I'll give the microphones to you. You have to share them a bit. Well, I'm going to talk with you about your graduation process. How did you experience it? Did you finish in time maybe? How was the balance between research and design? How to deal with all the expectations from teachers, from clients? But first, let me ask you in the audience. I saw there were a lot of graduate students. Kees van der Veekes, in his analysis, also in the magazine, stated that he was looking for, well, what is the kind of freedom you as a graduate have during your graduation process? And I was wondering, it's a very, harsh question maybe, but raise your hand if you feel like, yeah, I definitely had a lot of freedom, I felt a lot of freedom during my graduation to design my own process, to find my own topic. Right? Not all, but a lot of them. And who didn't feel like he or she had a lot of freedom?
Do you mean bachelor or the master?
Both.
Both.
Both. Or don't you dare to say it right now? That's also a possibility, maybe.
You're already graduated. So
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's see how it is here on the table. Sandra, Hidde, and Vic, very, very welcome. Well, Vic, let's start with you. You can take the microphone, because you didn't do your graduation all by yourself, right? You did it with another student.
Yes. At the house you work mostly in integrated groups.
Yeah.
And it's more called a professional assignment, so it's also for a real client. And I work together with another student from applied biology, it's called in English, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's a whole other thing, a sector. It's not a design thing. And how was that to deal with all these different kind of expectations? You already mentioned you also worked for a client. That was the province, right, of Noord-Brabant,
Noord-Brabant.
Yeah. So you already, I think they had some expectations, maybe.
Yeah.
How was it?
Well, it is kind of difficult, especially in the beginning, because the client is also that they don't really know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And it is also hard to kind of understand each other's specializations.
Yeah.
Because biology is another thing than design, and especially for my group member, it was kind of hard to being part of the design process.
And how did you get him into the design process?
Well, I think the only way to do that is come together and do sketching in real life, and also making brainstorms then, but because of Corona that was a struggle sometimes. Yeah. But the house provided some classrooms that we can still sketches.
Yeah. So I think also in the working field, you have to deal with all these different disciplines. So it was maybe some kind of practice for your working life as well, how to get everyone on board.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, our clients had not really, they had an assignment, but we made it kind of our own, first by analyzing a lot and presenting that to the client, and especially by making sketches, etc. And there will be a turning point during the process that this is it, and then we go forward with that.
Yeah.
But sometimes, yeah, it took a lot of time because you also have to convince your client, but also your group member.
Yeah. So a lot of discussions.
Yeah, but I think that's also great, because I think the graduation project is not only showing what you can, but also learning new things. And for me, it was, I learned a lot by working together and working for a client, because it was new.
Yeah. How was it for you, Sandra and Ida? You did your graduation by yourself, right? Yeah. Were you able to choose the topic or the case you worked on yourself? Yeah, it's on. It's working? Yeah, just.
Yeah, I did it by myself, and
You did the case was in Harderwijk, right? You made a design for Harderwijk.
Yeah.
And you choose that location yourself?
yeah, I had the freedom for my study to choose where I want to do my graduation project for which company, an urban design office or a municipality, and I did my internship for an urban design office. So I wanted to do my graduation project for a municipality, so I could see how it is.
Both worlds.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of
Yeah, so I
experience.
could compare the differences.
Yeah. And how was it? Vic also mentioned it. Graduation during Corona. Was it difficult to have, I think, a lot of online meetings, or were you able to discuss live in person, also with the municipality? How was it?
When I started, it was almost everything at home, and once in a week I had a meeting with my teacher from school, and once in a week with the municipality.
Hold a microphone like this, everyone will hear you perfectly.
The municipality, once in a week I spoke to. So that was a lot of alone work at home. But after a few weeks, I got the opportunity to work once in 2 weeks in Harderwijk. And one day in a week at school, and that really helped mostly during the design process. Because then we could look together at my ideas, at my sketches, and that was very helpful, because when you are in an online meeting, it's difficult to show them what you're thinking and your ideas.
Yeah, sitting all on one table, looking at the same images and drawings. Yeah, definitely that as well. Thank you for sharing. Hida, how was that for you?
The process, you mean?
The process, yeah.
It was a long process for me. It took 2 years. I started in 2019, so
A bit longer?
A bit.
Okay, let's ask to the audience again. Who took a little bit more time than that was scheduled in the study program? And I will raise my hand as well, because I also took a little bit longer. Yeah, okay. And who did it within time? Who finished within time? Okay. Nice, and that during Corona times, great. But you took a little bit more time, like a lot of students here as well.
It's very comforting to see, I have to say.
Yeah.
I was a bit insecure when I got up, but now it's okay.
Feel free to talk. And you finished. You graduated, so.
They cannot take it away. No, it was a nice process, and I remember that in the beginning it was without Corona for me.
Yeah.
And it was, so for the analysis phase, this was very nice. You could just go out and not think about all these things. And I remember when it switched, the first lockdown, and these things. I remember that it was, especially when you're designing, you really want to talk face to face with your tutor, your mentor. Then you really want this physical contact. So a few times we maybe broke some rules to meet.
Secretly met to discuss your design.
And I remember that we had to, with the evening clocks, one time we had to break the meeting, like we have to go home, because otherwise
jump on your bike.
get a fine.
Yeah.
So,
But you came home safely.
no problem.
Okay, perfect. And well, you aren't here on the list because there has been some switches due to well, cancellation and sickness last minute. Very happy to have you here. And I know that at the Rotterdam Academy of Architecture you can define your own criteria, right?
Yes, it's actually it's part of the graduation that you really position yourself and you think about what you want to do.
Yeah.
So you're also responsible for making your commission, like who do you want to be in your jury? Who wants you to be your external critic?
Yeah.
And who do you want to be your tutor?
Mm-hmm.
And so you think of something you want to do, but you also think like, okay, who could help me with my objective?
Yeah, a lot of responsibility as well.
Yes.
That comes with that freedom, I guess.
Yeah, but also very nice because you really feel like it's your child and you want to raise it well.
Your
so,
little baby
you feel very responsible.
growing up.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then put it out into the world with the magazine, with the presentations.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's very short. We are a little in time, but thank you so much for sharing your your experiences on your graduation. And I think also for the teachers here in the audience, it's very interesting to hear what your experiences was. And well, I'll see you and speak to you during the drinks. And for now, thank you very much. Sandra Wolfert. All right. On to the next topic, the next theme about positioning. And I would like to invite to the stage Jacopo Grini from the Academy of Architecture of Amsterdam, Simone Tax of the Eindhoven University of Technology, and Emma van den Hooge, University of Applied Sciences van Hooglagenstein. Welcome, Jacopo, Emma, and Simone. Yeah, 3 seats. Perfect. Do you want some water as well? Look, gentleman in the middle. We'll give you some extra water. Perfect. Well, the world is changing a lot, if I can say so. We must deal with major challenges, increasing number of crises, if I may state it like that. We have a housing crisis, of course the corona pandemic to deal with, growing social inequality, and of course we must find a way to go with climate change. Well, that's quite a lot, if I may say so. And what is the role of the landscape and urban designer in all this? That's what we're going to talk about. If I may ask you the first question, do you think, because well, we saw in the magazine, a lot of graduation projects focuses on these major challenges. And you, as a new generation of designers, do you feel it is also your responsibility, or do you feel obliged even to, well, take these kind of topics during your graduation? Who wants to answer the first question? Emma.
Whether I feel obliged
Yeah.
to answer. Yeah. Well, I kind of do, because the assignment said so. No.
It was your assignment. Yeah, then you feel obliged. Yeah. So not a lot of freedom in that. No.
It was. The thing is, the assignment was in fact quite challenging and in some ways quite daunting because of all of those crises you just mentioned. And also it's because the area is just, my project area was quite small, and then you have this list of things you have to,
You did graduation at a location in Tilburg, right?
Right, yeah. But then when you go further along into the design process, I felt like it's this really big puzzle in a way, and I liked playing around with it. So maybe seeing one of those challenges as a possible solution for the other ones. And that's, I don't know, I do think that is in fact the role of the designer in a way, be the
puzzler and connect all these different
pieces. Yeah, to do so. But then also invite other people into that design and very much motivate others as well.
This is not very professional of me. Let's turn this into flight modus. Well, sorry. you were saying.
Well, the thing is, so because of because these issues are so complex, I feel like as a landscape designer, you get to to puzzle around and also very much break it down and make it more more easy to grasp for others as well. So you have to invite all those other parties into that puzzle.
Because what I find interesting, you work at a museum right now, right, in Nijmegen, and it's about living alongside of the river de Waal.
Yeah.
And you are also very much inviting citizens to think about that as well, right? And then you made this conscious decision to do this designer's study to be, well, maybe you can describe it yourself. Why did you choose to really do this designer's work in that designer's role?
Yeah, so the thing is, the museum I work at is the Bastei in Nijmegen, and what I find interesting is that we tell a whole story about life in and at and on the river, and it's very much a story essential to the Dutch landscape, I'd say. I've seen that the Netherlands is just one big river delta, and then what we do as a museum, we also like to motivate our public, our visitors, to really be more aware of their surroundings and also give them a sense of agency and like practical tips about how to shape that environment, because they do. By living in it, they shape.
They are responsible as well for this environment.
Yeah, and I think to see that response, I'm now very much at the educational side of it all, and to see the response of all those people, I felt like, okay, maybe if I take this focus and bring it into the making part of it all, I don't know. I hope
then you can do even more.
Yeah, maybe help with that translation from those bigger complex things and really see, kind of like divide it into smaller bits. Get people involved.
Yeah, definitely. How was it for you, Simone? Because you did a project in Rotterdam, right? In the Rijkshaven.
Yeah.
How would you describe the role of an urban or landscape designer within these complex projects? Because it was really a big part of your graduation process, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I really I actually decided on my topic and thought of the topic myself, and then I approached the teachers to work with me. So I really made my project myself, and also the idea of combining more climate resilience and urban physics aspects with people-centered urbanism. And of course, those are both really challenges. The climate adaptation, of course, everybody knows, I guess. And the people-centered urbanism is also very something that's always important, of course, and also in the last decades became more important. And urban physics is something else that's not very much, doesn't get that much attention actually in the field nowadays.
What is urban physics?
I will explain. It's urban physics is really about the physics of the outdoor environment. So it's about, for example, wind, air quality, temperature, those kinds of things. And I think that especially, and that's also something that came from my project, that if you build higher densities, more high-rise buildings, then it becomes even more important to focus on urban physics aspects, because you have a lot of problems with wind and also with air quality issues with mobility and stuff. If you have
and that's something you really put on the agenda of the design team of that urban area.
Yeah, I actually really, I put together my group of teachers, so that was already a thing, that I had an urban physics teacher involved also, next to my urban design teacher, so they didn't know each other before, but due to my project they do. And also I worked with the municipality of Rotterdam, because I worked on the Rijnhaven, and that's actually a development that's really going to happen now. And I also worked with the chief designer of this project in real life. And then he also said that he was really inspired by my project, so that's really nice to see. And they're involving wind and that kind of stuff more and more. So that's really nice to see,
Yeah, and to me actually, that was really a new thing to hear, that you really put this urban physics on the agenda of a design team who is working on this major project as well. And that's maybe a new part, or do you see it as some kind of new part of the role of an urban designer?
I think the role of an urban designer, and maybe designers in general, is also to be critical and think about what is there and what should we put on the agenda. And really, as a student, you have the freedom to choose. And I had I think in my bachelor, I had this course, urban physics, just because I thought, oh, it might be interesting. And then I found out, like, why don't we know this? You know, it was an elective course, and it was so important, because you can design a beautiful tower, but then if the public space is totally useless because of the wind, nobody will use it, and you can make a nice rendering with happy people, but people won't be happy then. So that was really something that I was fascinated about, but I also didn't want to only focus on technical stuff, so I also wanted to get the people-centered involved and have the high density, so that's why the towers are there. Usually if you do people-centered stuff, there's no towers, but I wanted to challenge too, also get like
So it's not only connecting all these different pieces of the puzzle, but also defining the pieces themselves and to see how big this puzzle actually can be.
And try to maybe also inspire others or set people thinking. For example, the municipality.
Great. Thank you very much. Well, let's go to Jacopo, who is here sitting quietly at the table. Hello, very welcome, from the Academy of Architecture in Amsterdam. And you did this very special project, also more maybe on an abstract level. You really designed this new methodology as well. If I ask you, what is the role of a designer, or how did you take your role as a designer within your graduation? How would you describe that?
Yeah, good question.
Good question, large question as well. You're graduates now, so the difficult questions.
Personally, my role, I think, is between the inspiration and the design, especially for with this project, which I consider a manifesto of the way I like to work. So I don't know. I can say that it started with a non-specific place. So in this case, we can say utopian idea, imagination. I like to call it as well. And then it has been tested, that's also the title of the project, to a geography where casually I was living in, so the Amsterdam, but the Netherlands, actually Holland. The role are several, in my opinion. The one I choose that I would like to develop and actively practice is the one between art and urban design, so the project and the fascination.
And is it some providing inspiration? Is it a way of thinking? Because it's not really a design. This is what you should do. This is the.
Yes, I think it's between the two things. So it's between a suggestion, which can be ironic sometimes, or crazy. It's not a good word. Crazy.
Radical, maybe.
Right, and what can be a solution. So
because that's very interesting, because in our preliminary discussion we had, you said first I used the word utopia, and then you changed it very consciously to imagination. Why did you make that switch?
Well, imagination is a faculty that we all have, and I'm trying to study that and also try to make a kind of manual how to use it and how can we use it better to design. And utopia is, unfortunately, in my experience in the literature, used with a negative connotation. So when they tell you, oh, it's utopian, then you know it's not considered as
real.
Yeah, or relevant.
Yeah.
So I was happy about the title. Fantasy about it is already something different than utopia.
Yeah.
That means literally in Greek, no place, utopos.
Yeah, so that's really, I think, really something to take with you. And also what you said, Emma, is about this imagination. And Amber, who unfortunately couldn't be here, she is also from the Rotterdam Academy of Architecture, and her criterion for graduation was make the unexpected, make it possible, like make it visible that it can be realized. So yeah, that's the difference between utopian, that's not going to be realized maybe, or it's too far ahead, and then the imagination which can be realized, which is, I think, also part of the role of an architect. And the last question I want to discuss with you is how to take a role in this very fast and dynamic world, a lot of changes versus the more slowly evolving or even static urban or landscape environments. How do you deal with that? Because that's really a balance or this tension you have to work with, I guess. Yeah?
I think it's good to react, but also good to look forward in a long scope. So it's good to know and predict and to collaborate with other disciplines on what are the needs of tomorrow, 10 years, for example, but also maybe predict is a big word, but try to envision what can happen with a longer scope. So for example, here I'm talking about 2200, so it's very far.
Yeah.
That's why I think it's okay to be so radical, because if it's a project for tomorrow, then it's maybe indeed utopian and impossible to realize.
Yeah. And Emma, you did this graduation project for the municipality of Tilburg, so that's it has to be this option to be realized. How did you experience that? Seeing more far ahead and then taking these steps.
Yeah, so I do definitely agree that in a way we are some sort of like guardians of that more natural pace. So a landscape that do in fact take decades, maybe hundreds of years or more to develop. But then you're flung back into that reality of the assignment and your municipality, and it's also challenging to have that patience with it in a way, because for that specific assignment, there's master plan after master plan after master plan, and you do already have to have a long breath, I guess.
A lot of patience.
A lot of patience you do. But yeah, I do feel like because we have that imagination and we design those possible future landscapes, that is already a way of broadening that view and I don't know, maybe change that pace of the assignment already.
Change the perspective of what is possible. Yeah. And how did you experience that, Cecilia?
What was interesting, I think, is that the project that I worked on was also really executed, that's being executed now by the municipality. So they published a master plan for the Lijnhaven now, and they are going to really make land of the water and then put building blocks and towers on top. And I already knew that I would be like too late to really do something about what they were doing already, because the master plan already existed. But I did inspire them to start thinking about it and include at least a little bit in their project. But I also think that these kinds of things, like the imagination and also the things that you said, and also that you said, like really the thinking of how it could be or how it could have been, could also be inspiring for a next project that might be similar or not even very similar. It can also be like an example, and especially students can do that, I think, because you're super free and you don't have the limitations of money and everything. I mean, you can just do it, like go ahead and go for 200 years in the future or whatever you like. So yeah, it's also inspirational, I think, and then slowly it will get in the hopefully,
So this is also some kind of call for action for all the upcoming graduates as well, I guess.
Yeah, I would say. I mean,
yeah. And we discussed all these major challenges in the world, and I want to ask you also in the audience: are you hopeful? Like, will we be able to design this world in which all these problems, challenges are going to be solved? Who is positive? Raise your hand. Who is optimistic? Yeah. All right. Well, that's not even 50%. Let's check. What is who isn't that optimistic? Who is like, no, we're not gonna make it. Or we have to work at least really. Okay. I have to go to you. If I may ask you, and then we'll end with a more positive note. But what is the main challenge you would say? And first, what is your name?
My name is Simon.
Yeah. Is it on? Let me see. Hello? Yeah.
Yes, hello. My name is Simon. I'm also part of Young NVTL.
Oh, okay.
Why I'm not positive? I think what I see, there are so much challenges on climate, on energy, on biodiversity, things like that. And we see the world changing, and a lot of people are there. But I see we are trying to change it, but it's just a little bit less a problem, you know? It's, for example, if you go electrical, and it's just a little bit less polluting or something. And what I see is people only change if there's a real disaster. So I think we are waiting on all of them to have a big disaster when it's too late. And then we're thinking, oh, okay, we have to change it. I don't see any. I see a lot of things going on, especially the students. They see that there is a real threat going on.
And they feel the urgency.
So I hope that they take it up, but I'm not sure.
We have to work harder, be even more radical, maybe.
Much more radical.
Much more radical. Okay, a lot more people who were more positive about it, and you as well, I guess. Who were the positive thinkers? If you dare. Hanneke Geide, right? From the Academy of Architecture. You are more positive.
Yes, I'm optimistic. And that's because I see a lot of a younger generation, like you guys and all my students at the Academy of Architecture in Amsterdam. And they are forever optimistic in their plans. They're always trying to make the best of it. And I know, yes, we have a lot to do, and we probably need some disasters happening, and they will happen. But I'm optimistic and positive that in the end we will save the planet.
And we will come with those solutions.
Yeah, but we need you, because I'm old and you're young, so you have to
Not
solve
that
it.
old. Thank you, Hanneke. Well, let's end with you, because you, well, like Hanneke stated, and also, Cor stated, we need you. So you are positive, right? You raise your hands. What are you going to do within your working life?
I think what Anneke said is true. Like positive in the plans, in the actions. So I say I'm positive for the future, I'm also very doubting, but one thing is to believe or critically think of what is the situation and how it's gonna be in a bit or in a few years or 10 or, and then also how do we react on that? So either we go prepared or we imagine. That's what I'm gonna do. Let's join forces with colleagues and imagine and design.
Yeah, and you as well, Emma?
Yeah, so I find this very interesting because, like I said, I come from the museum background, and it's very focused. We focus on on inviting everyone onto the ideas and having hope, and like I said, like give them a sense of agency in a way. Handelingsperspectief.
Yeah.
But I think this might be one of the biggest challenges for landscape designers and architects, is that you have to switch between those radical ideas and visualizing them, and then switching back to
making them realistic.
Realistic, and yeah, changing that mindset and getting people on board.
In these smaller steps, leading to large changes.
And since I'm coming from that side angle, I think what I'm gonna do is just find a group of radicals and learn from them, and then translate it back to the.
So radicals, raise your hands. Yeah, there are a few radicals in the audience, which you can go to, I think, during the drink. Simone.
Yeah, I wanted to react on you because I am from Nijmegen, so I know this place. I haven't visited, so I will. But I think that what you're already doing in the museum and really trying to also educate people about the river landscape and about what's happening probably also around the Waal in Nijmegen, that's already the first step, right? To explain like what happened and what will happen and how do we deal with that. So I think that at least my own way of working would be to stay positive and enthusiastic and try to inspire, and don't of course it doesn't go like super fast, but every small step is something. So
and we'll get there.
Yeah, and don't lose your positivity, I would say, but also sometimes be very now we have to act, so it's a bit of a balance, I think. So, yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Well, from the positioning of the role of architects, landscape designers, urban designers, to internationalization, because we are living in this globalizing world, and I would like to invite to the stage Young Lin of Delft University of Technology, Wim van Uitreiking, Breda University of Applied Sciences, and Sanita Kronen, from this Master of Architecture and Urbanism. Welcome. Sanita, Yuwen, and Wim. Give them a small applause as well. Thank you very much for being here on the stage with us. Like I said, all these major challenges are not local challenges. We are living in this globalizing world, and what influence does internationalization have within the practice of urban designers, landscape designers? Does it make it even more difficult? Does it provide some opportunities or some inspirational new perspectives? And that's what we are going to talk about. Let's start with you, Yuwen. Take the microphone. Perfect. It's on, I guess?
Yes.
Yes, it's on. You have your roots in Taiwan.
Yeah, I'm from Taiwan.
Yeah. You did your master's here in Delft, and you did your graduation project at the coast of the United Kingdom. So that is a lot of different locations. How did you take all these different perspectives, within your studies and especially within your graduation?
Hi, thank you for asking. It's a big question. So I would say that, as you mentioned, that I come from Taiwan. And actually, I had my study master's study in Taiwan as an urban planner. And then after some years of work, I came here in Netherlands in 2019. And because I want to study more design strategies related to like flooding risk and the climate adaptation. So that's one of the important reasons that I come to TU Delft. And then I feel that as an international professional, I have the advantage to take a bit of distance and more sharp eyes to see the urban challenges in different contexts. That, for example, we are all facing like flooding risk and the climate change in different different countries, and we have some best practices and design strategies. But when we are going to put the design strategies in different locations, it's really important that we need to transform the strategies to a more local-based solutions. And I think the process of transforming those strategies is a really important component, like in my study and also in my project, because my project site is in the UK. So actually, I'm using some design strategies developed from the Netherlands. But actually, even when I adopt the strategies in the UK, there are lots of differences in the coastline. For example, the Netherlands is more muddy and sandy, but actually in the UK it's mostly rocky. So actually, I need to do a lot of study on the geography and also the institutional system. So it's kind of like important practice for me to also aware of like the importance of transforming the strategies.
So it's one thing to get all these different insights and new strategies which are used at a different location, and then it's another thing to implement and use it on these different locations because of the geographical and the cultural and the governmental differences and the new context. Do you recognize this? Sanita, you have your roots in Netherlands. You did your bachelor's in Denmark, and now you did your master's here in the Netherlands. And Pim, you did your minor in an international project, and you worked for this project, which you also consider to be some kind of international. Do you recognize this? Recognize that you have all these different perspectives and different way of looking, different methodologies, and then you have to, I think it's on.
So in my third, I did this minor.
Can you use this one?
Minor, which was based in.
And then hold it like this. Perfect.
Okay, which was based in Calgary.
In Calgary, Canada,
So
Can you hold your microphone? Like this, or even put it like this. Perfect. It's also a technique to.
So there, all these different studies from my university, they came together. We had like mobility students, but also like event management and so completely different ways of thinking and also different entities, and then there came like really nice solutions that I think when you're working with only from one country.
So for you it was really inspirational. You say. Was it also challenging sometimes?
I think so. It was a bit challenging sometimes because
Did everyone have the same perspective or way of working or
different ways, definitely. Some were more focused on researching and some more on designing, but then when it all came together, we brought this really nice project. So that was fun.
Nice. That's also what Vic said in a way, of all these different kind of knowledge and just be put together in one project. Sanita, how is it for you? It's working.
We were, in the beginning, we were like close to 20 students, starting at 20.
At your master's.
At my master's here in Netherlands. And we were mixed from different countries. And it was always interesting to see actually the background from the other students. because they were always kind of, you know, can see something new and different because everyone had a different approach and like it was very, what I remember very strongly from Iranian classmates, they really used a lot of red and black color. It was really the way how they were expressing it. So it was also, but they also, the storytelling for them was, it was different. So each country is really bringing something different.
Yeah.
And that also is kind of inspiring as well. And if I think about my graduation project, it's also something, what I can say, I have lived in, now this is the third country where I live, and actually in every country it's a different way. I have to adapt. And what inspires me here in the Netherlands, there are a lot of, in my project, there's a floating object. So it was good basic material and really inspiring as well to really use it in my project. So yeah, it was a good experience to be in between among the international students, and also we had international tutors as well and teachers. So it was a really interesting process in general.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear that it's not only about the knowledge, but also about the way of presenting and the way of communicating and the storytelling, which can inspire you.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And we have to deal with this, well, language barrier, maybe as well. How did you experience that?
I did my bachelor in Denmark, and also there I had to
Did you learn Danish as well?
A bit, but the studies were in English, of course. But I had to learn, of course, all the terms in English, the ones that I didn't know. How is the specific kind of bay window it's called? But when you want to work in the same country, architects sometimes they don't know all those words in English. No, they know in their own language, and then it's a bit. I need to adapt. I need to learn it. So it's basically, yes, I get my degree here, but I need to learn the language to really be capable to stay here and work and really integrate in society, into the working flow in general.
Yeah, yeah. And when you started your new job this week, is that correct? Yeah.
Thank you.
How is it? Where do you work? Let's start there.
Yeah, now I work at MLA Plus in Rotterdam.
It's a landscape.
It's an architecture and urbanism office.
Okay, yeah. And is it really internationally orientated as well?
Like they have projects also in Netherlands, in the UK, also in China.
Yeah. And is the language which is be spoken at the office, is that English as well? Does everyone speak English, or do you experience the same things as Sanita said?
Like for now, in my project, I speak English and Chinese, but I know the other groups of colleagues that they work on the Dutch projects that they need to speak Dutch. Yeah, so I'm also learning Dutch. I'm taking the A1 class.
Very well, very well. But you also speak Chinese.
Yes, I speak Chinese. Yeah.
So it's also a benefit maybe for them that you have all these international backgrounds, speak Chinese. Do you have Chinese projects? Do you know if the office has that?
Yes, I see myself like language, like I can speak Chinese. It's kind of my advantage, I would say. Yeah, because now I have more and more like office and people, they are doing projects in China.
Yeah.
And I think there are another interesting thing is that I see that like for example, I mentioned urban challenges. That I know that a lot of European cities, they want to do like densification and more mixed-use programs. And I see that it's interesting that people are actually learning from like East Asia, because we have a basically livable city environment, especially like in my city in Taipei. So actually I see that European countries are also learning from the Asian experience.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel that's quite interesting because I come from Taiwan, I study here, and then I'm doing project in China again. So actually it's kind of like interesting process for me.
To get all the knowledge, and now you can use your...
Yeah, like to combine, try to integrate them together.
Yeah.
And one more thing I want to say is that like my previous study in Taiwan is like basically urban planning. It's more like traditional, focused on zoning and master plan. And I got a lot of inspiration in TU Delft in the Netherlands that is basically landscape based. So when we study urbanism in TU Delft, I know that one of the methodology is the layer approach that we really emphasize to see the urban landscape as systems. And we look into we decompose them into different layers and to study. And this is actually quite very new for me because I'm coming from Taiwan. So actually I got a lot of inspiration also in the design methodologies.
Yeah, that's very nice to hear. Thank you for sharing. Wim, you did your graduation project on this industrial building site for a lot of different users with multicultural backgrounds. How did you do that? Because you said to me like one of the assignments was to make them feel at home. How did you work on that?
Basically, it's like a site where they're really into chemicals and development of chemicals, but they also have like this big campus where a lot of different knowledge workers come to work. And then at the moment it's like really closed off, so the people live in the surrounding, and then they work, but they don't really have a connection with the environment.
Yeah.
So then I also try to create an environment where working, living, and recreation come together in one place, so that the people from different countries also feel they're a bit more connected with each other.
Yeah.
So that also being good.
Yeah. So there's really this connecting the local context to their own backgrounds and connect that and make them feel at home as well, and then so working, living, and recreation.
Yeah. And then there was a lot of circularity.
And also, so we could also talk with you about the positioning and get all these pieces together. Thank you very much. One last question. Do you ambition also an international career? That's also for the audience maybe. Who has the ambitions for an international career? Raise your hand. All right. And you? Do you have ambitions? Well, you actually already have somewhat of an international career, I might say. Where will you go next, or stay in the Netherlands for a while now?
Personally, yes, I'm staying in Netherlands for a while. Why? And the reason is I find Dutch society and architects and people are always interested into try out something new. So we're always going to challenge themselves and see how can we change it and how can we be better. So anyway, so we can. And I find it like an interesting and creative place for me where to be. So therefore, for now, yes, I'm staying here for a while.
Nice. And you too?
Yeah, for me as well. For the first couple of years, definitely of my working career, and then maybe when I'm a bit older,
explore the possibilities abroad.
Yeah.
You went?
Yeah.
You just started, right?
Yeah, I just started, yeah.
Yeah, so you will stay as well. Thank you very much and good luck with that. So, yeah, there it is on the screen, the award ceremony, and I would like to invite Gijs van der Bome, creative director of KuiperCompagnons and head of the jury of this graduation awards. Nice, very welcome. Nice to have you here, of course. Let me ask you first. You as KuiperCompagnons really are part of this award. Why is it so important to you?
Well,
yeah, it's fun.
This is now the third year that we are given the opportunity to help make this happen. And every time we are inspired by the richness of everything what is presented to us. So basically it's an honor to be name giver to this award. And it was already expressed before, this is the favorite edition of the Blauwe Kamer every year. And it's getting better and better.
The graduation special.
Yeah. So learning from you guys is for us also very, very important. And if you look at the place we're in time and well, how shall I put it, the relevance of this profession, you are needed. You are needed dearly. We need your knowledge and what you can bring to the solutions. Don't be desperate, I have to say, because there's a lot of knowledge that we have to unleash.
And you are saying it's getting better and better. What are your main observations during the, well, all these different years, but especially now, of course, this year?
Well, I find that the educational institutions are pushing you every time to a next level. And you said you have a lot of freedom. I believe that in choosing your own subjects, but they seem to be all pointing into the same direction of making a better world. And since this discussion on what is needed becomes much more pressing, we sometimes feel that also the subjects can be quite overbearing for what you as young people will do with it. And that is something that is sometimes also a point of sorrow. If you look at what happened last year, we had a jury, outside jury, which was formed by the national councillors for urban design and landscape, Daan Zandveld and Berno Strootman, who have now stepped down and have new people there. But they were also a little bit concerned at that time that it was all very serious and very much looking into how can we find the right solutions for the world. While at the same time, it is important, especially in this time of your career, to also be playful and to be brave in thinking about how we can approach this field of profession.
And did you see that in the projects of this year?
Yeah, first I go back to the first year. At that point we said we also want almost an extra award for bravery. Bravery of the educational institutions, of helping the students to point them into directions that are out of the box. And this year we find that it's also part of the best solutions that we find, or the best projects that we see, that these subjects that you might never work on again during your career in doing all these serious projects that are needed. But this time is the right time to have deepening, to work on something that is out of the box for a long time. So I'm very happy with that.
Compliments on undergraduates. And well, I already asked Mark, well, how does this jury, well, how do they do it? And we have this club of 30 or 32 of professionals within the working fields, and then you have also the jury who will make the final decision. And those are people with also more a governmental background, right?
This year, yes.
This year.
First, I want to extend a big thank you to the 30, because they make our life in the jury much easier. They go through all your work, and they do it in their own time, and they're very busy as advisors and professionals, and they're not people who are sitting idly. So that's I'm very grateful to them. This year we decided to ask people in the jury, almost extra jury, to put in the finishing touches that are half with one leg in politics and one leg in expertise. So we asked Hamid Karakus, who is here, but I think he's in a political phone call, I'm not sure. And Carla Mone, who are both member of the first chamber in our political system. And Hamid is also chair of Platform 31, former alderman of Rotterdam, godfather of the Maarthal and Dakvark, and very big projects in Rotterdam. And Carla is actually chair of Ingenieur NL, which is the Confederation of Engineering Advisors and Companies in the Netherlands. So why did we do that? Because the relevance in this decisive decade of making the connection between politics, the knowledge, and design and politics is more and more important, of course.
Like we also discussed during the conversations, And you worked with a short list, and I think, and then we'll make this step exciting to the point we're all waiting for. This is the short list with the projects you as a jury discussed, right? Who will be the final winners of this award?
We keep this suspension going, of course. First, we need to say that you're the best of the best of your year. You have been elected by your educations to be nominated. So that again emphasizes the fact that we are privileged to look at your work. And you have a say in the future. Having said that, of course, we need to make a shift in there.
Was it hard?
Yes, it was hard because the work is very rich and very diverse. So, but we have the 30, and they help a lot. So the role of the jury is rather modest in emphasizing who, if there is a draw, for instance, in the points of the jury, then we say, okay, who will be our favorites.
And we have then multiple awards. We have for the bachelors, the second and the first prize, and we have for the masters, and we have also some honors, like how to say it, honorable mentions, I guess.
Yes.
And you are going to tell us who they are, right? First the bachelors.
Well, first I'm going to talk a little bit about what the content of the plan is.
Shall I give you the stage?
Please do.
Okay. I will give you the stage.
It's going to be not easy to give away the name, of course, but first we talk about the content of the plan, because that is, in the end, what it's all about. So for the bachelors, we have selected a plan that has taken climate adaptation as a main issue, and we always talk about climate adaptation in our new projects, but of course it's very important to be adaptive in what is already there. And the challenge of finding the right solutions in historic neighborhoods is something that we really think is of great value. This plan has shown strong principles and was thoroughly executed. So for this we decided to award the second prize to Patrick van Schaik for the
Well, come to the stage, and then we'll make a nice photo, of course. Congratulations.
So, Patrick, first we give you this excellent issue, and then, of course, we give you this award for this excellent work that you might want to elaborate a little bit on.
Yeah, let's stay over there with the two of you, then we'll make a nice photograph, because, of course, this needs to be photographed.
Shake your hand. There you go.
Yeah, like that. Definitely. All right. Thank you very much, and congratulations.
So, for the first prize, last summer we in Holland experience something that is connected to the subject of the first prize. The relevance of mine and river systems for our climate adaptation again was shown to us in a rather harsh way in Limburg. So we think that the subject of this plan is super relevant. The importance of brook systems in climate adaptations and making a spatial strategy for it is the subject of this plan. And we were extremely impressed by the fact that the complexity of a system like this and a regional plan that is connected to it has been carried out in a way which we feel would be worthy of a master's level. So that also was the reason, the complexity of what was proposed to award Victor Graal and Peter van Mullen the first prize.
If you make the photo, I'll hold the microphone.
Dat is fantastisch, is dat niet? Moet je veel mee?
Dankjewel. Ja, top.
Congratulations.
Take this one.
So we already said that your plan is worthy of a master's education, so you might skip it. I don't know. What are you doing right now? I would like to know that. Actually.
I'm working at the Cadence Landscape Architecture and Urbanism right now.
Okay. So no masters for you?
No masters.
Might reconsider since.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe in a later stage.
Yeah. Well, that's good for you. For the masters, different from the bachelors, we have, like you already said, honorable mentions here. And I'm going to mention three, and we'll do the three projects on content and then call all three names up here. In the master, yeah, klopt. So we have a plan which has great focus on the social agenda and takes inclusiveness on neighborhoods to a new level. And this is a plan which is about more than just eliminating cars and greening streets. This inclusiveness and social aspects in a very harsh neighborhood of one of our biggest cities deserves this honorable mention. Then we have, next to that, two plans that are very much in the category I just spoke about, which is about bravery of subject. A plan that is putting sea equally to land in importance, which has beautiful and original images and addresses, again, a very relevant subject in how we take the sea serious. And then the next one is a poetic and beautiful landscape acupuncture that has a very melancholy-like touch to it, beautiful graphics, and which is showing a sad and yet beautiful future. So I would like to call for honorable mentions Adriaan Weerheim van de Academie voor Bouwkunst Rotterdam, Siga van den Berg van de Academie voor Bouwkunst Amsterdam en en Alexandra van Zijl, Universiteit van Wageningen.
And I think Alexandra is joining us online. That's Alexandra, congratulations. Can we hear
Thank you.
Thank you. Very nice. Can you give us a quick response? Are you happy with the honorable mention, the special mention?
I feel very grateful. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, and thank you for joining online. And I think one of your teachers is taking the prize for you, but it will come to you, of course. Is the photo already, has it been taken?
Well, I would like to take a photo of the four of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
take the
if
photo.
you can maybe come a bit further this way. Yeah, that would be really nice.
Yeah, we're not used to standing so close to each other right now anymore.
Yeah, great.
Perfect.
Yeah, super.
Do we have time for
Of
a
course.
few small questions?
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Maybe move to the middle a bit. Yeah, perfect.
Your project is about the neighborhood in Rotterdam I was referring to. Are you actually now involved in bringing that further?
Unfortunately, not. I had a big ambition to do something and to work further on it. But there was a lot happening in my private situation. I was married this year and
Congratulations.
I moved to a new house. So unfortunately, I didn't work further on the project. But yeah, still like to do something about it.
Oh, that's good to hear. Maybe if Hamid is here, we will discuss it a bit further because we found it was very interesting. And then, of course, talking about the sea, what is going on there? Are you bringing this further? Because this seascape that you have created, I thought was very inspiring.
Yes, we try to bring it a bit further. We will, in a team, together with the embassy of the North Sea, participate in tender for building one. We're not going to build one, but participate.
Great to hear, because I'm a fervent diver, so I would like to dive in a blue North Sea without all the silt in it and with all these nice creatures living in your creations, I would say. So let's hope it works out. Yeah. And really, about this poetic melancholy in the plan.
Alexandra can respond as well. She's online.
Alexander as well. Didn't you? How did you cope with at once the sadness of what was going on, and then the beauty of what is actually happening in your design? How could you manage not to get depressed and make these beautiful images at the same time?
That's such a nice question. I think that the project is about all of us becoming comfortable with our emotions and the spectrum of emotions, because we all experience them. And so one can find great inspiration in sadness in a way, and it can become a very powerful driver to do your work.
I think that's also a very food for thought answer, actually. So, and you managed as a tutor to keep everything in a straight line, literally.
Well, Alex came to us, and the first thing she did was to walk out of the class. So that's either a very good sign or a very bad sign. In this case, it was a very good sign, because she knew perfectly what she wanted to do. She wanted to work with glaciers. For a while, we looked at can we actually do something about this? Can we repair it? And then we said, no, there is no repair. So close your eyes and imagine a glacier. What do you see? This white and blue ice. Then imagine going to New Zealand. That's quite a trip. You can see every episode of Jason Bourne on the plane to New Zealand. You go to this place and you think, now I'm going to see a glacier. And then, I don't know, 2 kilometers away, there's a small strip of black dirt with a little bit of white in it. And that's what you see. And that is the sadness that we wanted to catch in this design that Alex has, in a brilliant way, given shape. And with this long stair, you go down the scar in the landscape that the glacier has left behind. There's a mirror behind you. You don't see it. You turn around and you see yourself in the mirror and what we have done in the background. So,
like
something to make you think.
Poetic acupuncture in this place, and a story about ice and water. What else will be in the next 2 that we will announce in a few minutes? Thank you very much. So, for the second prize in the master category, we have looked at a landscape you want to visit. A landscape which is uplifting in a rather negative discussion which is going on in our country right now about alternative energy, about solar energy and wind. So a landscape that you want to visit, somewhat like a solar margarita, and a positive note in looking for solutions that we need in this time. So solar archipelago of David de Boer from Wageningen has been rewarded the second prize.
David couldn't be here because he was feeling very ill, but he is online, I heard. Let's see if I can.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, we can hear him. David, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm ill, so I'll spare you from even though I feel already way better with the second prize. A great honor. Thank you very much.
Well, congratulations, David. Luckily, you feel better. I hope this makes you even feel better. And Rudy again will be here on the stage. So, very good. Can you comment a little bit about this, seduction that you put in this challenge to say that, okay, what we see in solar, which is necessary in the landscape, but not mostly frowned upon. So how can we make this into something that is actually worthwhile in visiting and having fun in going there? What has been your approach in achieving that?
I think it mostly has to do with the inclusion of time and anticipation in this process, as seeing these renewable energy technologies not as a stationary or single function functioning of the landscape. So really combining it with other functions to make it exciting in a way to anticipate on new items, on changing natural conditions, on the PV sort of going ahead in front of the natural succession that takes place following it. So yeah, that's basically the approach that I took, the ability to see things change.
Has your work, which is of course also on the cover of the Blauwe Kamer, has it given any openings into the practical world of providing floating solar farms?
Well, there is a big discussion right now also concerning the IJsselmeer, and I think the floating PV is an interesting subject because it has to do with flexibility, with large implementations, with temporality, with buying time for this energy transition, but at the same time it's also very drastic intervention. And I think that we should be a bit more careful, which I also try to show in ways that it is not just a monofunctional land use, but it can actually be a way to instigate all other kinds of landscape developments. So there's a big discussion right now going about the IJsselmeer and the Markermeer, and I hope it will influence it a little bit. It has been a little already, so that's good.
Well, good to hear. And Rudy, they have not called the university yet from practice work.
Well, we are doing research projects with solar energy. There's a project in Nona that we are also working on realizing one-on-one solar projects, which are more a feast to the eye and which you would like in your backyard rather than not in my backyard. And I think that David has shown us that we can use it to make a new landscape, like we always did. We always have done things to improve our life world and make beautiful landscapes of them. And I think that David has succeeded in taking something that maybe at first we have to do it, okay, but let's then do it nice. Let's do it good. Let's do it that it makes a contribution to the landscape and it really becomes a part of the landscape.
The acceptance is easier like that, and even the seduction of actually enjoying it.
And I would like to say that this is also Sven Strenke's merit that we have all these nice projects on solar energy.
That's no surprise.
He's the driving force with us.
Great. Let me, if you take the honors of accepting.
David, this one's for you, right?
Thank you very much.
So we're finally approaching, of course, the top of the pyramid, the best of the best of the best. For the first prize, I'm very happy that in this call for bravery, and of thinking out of the box in the choice subject, we are for the first time in the 3 years that we do this, are able to announce that the first prize winner is one that definitely is falling into that category. This plan is about untrodden territory, brave and experimental thinking and acting in landscape. It's about acceptance without defeat of what is going on with our climate. It's also about history. It's about when you look closely into this seemingly pristine landscape, humans have done this kind of thing before, and we have forgotten about it, and this plan is unearthing it. And of course, it's also about relevance, because this is happening in a lot of places at the moment. We had ice, we had water, now we have fire landscapes of Hanna Prinsen,
of the Academie van Bouwkunst, Amsterdam.
And is coming to the stage from the middle of the audience. Congratulations.
I am wrestling with all these things, but first of all, congratulations. And of course, we have to do the photo moment and then we can talk.
You can give me the microphone, then you can make a very nice picture. If you move over here, we can have a project in the background.
Do we do the hand?
Yeah.
Very nice. Really nice, thank you.
Yeah. And you can get that microphone if you want.
So, Hannah, how did this come about?
The subject?
Yes.
Is it on?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is on. Okay. So I went on a travel to America, so my project is in California. And I traveled around and I got to experience a wildfire. And it made me really, it had such a big impact on a huge amount of land and as well on my trip, but I saw the huge area that it was taking. So that got me thinking, half a year later, or a year later, I had to graduate. As a landscape architect, can I do something in this subject? And I found out that actually there were no projects yet in this subject, or like small ones. So I saw this as a challenge to start this project and to start landscape architecture with fire.
Oh, that's good to hear it from experience at first hand. But obviously you were safe.
I was safe. Yeah. Yeah.
And what is also very, what caught the eye of the jury is that basically you use very restrained form of graphics with fires, flames, and a lot of red and orange, but the restriction and the restraint you put in the way you depict your proposal, we thought also to be very impressive. So yeah, so a deserved winner of this year.
Then we are at the end of the program, I guess. This was your secret, the secret notes now out in the open. Guys, thank you very much, of KuiperCompagnons.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, and I think it is time to go for the drinks now. A few things. Thank you guys, of course, with KuiperCompagnons Blauwe Kamer for organizing and initiating this event. Delft University of Technology for hosting the event and all the technical support. Thank you very much. Young NVTL and BNSP, of course, for joining. Of course, you all, the graduates, for all your inspiring graduation projects. The jury members, for all their hard work, of course, everyone on the stage for the discussions, and everyone being here live in the audience and online. So thank you very much. I think we will go to the bar for some drinks. We would like to have the winners and the special mentions to stay here a bit longer to make a nice group picture, and we hope to see you next year. And you know what the location will be, Mark?
Yes, I got it confirmed this afternoon. It will be at the Has in Den Bosch. Because every year we go to one of the 10 schools. So for 2023, if there's somebody already
volunteering.
But next year, Has en Bosch.
Yuri is excited as well, I see.
Well, yeah, so I'm really happy with that.
Well, looking forward to it. Hope to see you all next year. Thank you very much. One more congratulations to the winners and have a nice drink. Winners and special mentions can come up front for a last picture.
andere plekken. Met die in de achtergrond.
Dat is wel leuk. Maar dan moeten jullie even terug naar de eerste.
Ja.
Ja.